you couldn't wear jewelry. You couldn't like your hair. So one time I got my hair braided. My
What
aunt,
we?
yeah, my aunt braided my hair. It took us 14 hours.
Oh.
And I had to, when I left Chicago and went back home, I had to take my braids out because it was worldly braids. It was of the world.
Who
And my,
told you to take it out?
the pastor.
I would say your mom and them were like, oh, that's cute. And then you got the church and
Yeah.
he was like, oh, she can't have it in her head.
Yes. We couldn't wear jewelry, couldn't get our ears pierced. My aunt had, when I went to Chicago, she snuck and got my ears pierced when I was like 14 or 15.
Oh, let's see what you let you do whatever.
But get this, everything was worldly, right? You couldn't wear like certain type of, like my brother wore those. You know, back in the day they had those gold tip shoes. You couldn't wear that. But the preacher had all kind of expensive stuff,
I was like,
watches. Yeah, he did it. Like, and me and my sister was like, that car you driving is worldly. You driving that expensive car, that's worldly.
Did y'all have to wear skirts all the time?
So yes, the people at the church had to wear skirts, but because of who my grandparents were, we wore skirts and dresses, long dresses, no splits all at the church, but at home and at school, my mama let us slide because my grandma was like,
I was
no.
like, your parents, so your grandmother was also a part of the church.
No, oh no, that's my
okay.
parents. Nobody else in my family.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Well, how did you end up in this church?
girl, because they was having issues, I guess, and one of their friends was like, "Come to this church with us."
That
And, you
was
know, you
saved
go
today.
there, yep, and it help your marriage and brainwash you.
That's how they be on
Girl,
the
and we would be there
podcast.
all day, every day. We would be there like Friday night Bible class, Saturday Bible class, Sunday Sunday school, Sunday church, Sunday nights, Wednesday night Bible class. And they would tell you can't visit any other churches because everybody else is sinners.
Mm.
And we ain't had no music.
Wow.
We didn't shout. You had to leap. You got to leap for the Lord. You can't really celebrate holidays, so there was no like, of course, no Santa Claus. We believe in all that trees
Yeah.
and Easter Bunny and all that stuff. Now we would get stuff for Christmas, but it wasn't a Christmas gift.
Oh.
So, but when the pastor found out that my parents were doing all this stuff, they was like, "Oh, your kid's gonna send you to hell because y'all letting them do this and letting them do that."
Who was telling him?
So we wanted to run track. You know, when you run track, well, I don't know
You gotta
about
wear
now, but back
shorts.
then you got to wear the short shorts.
Mhm.
My mom decided to go ask the pastor, "Could we run track?" And he said no.
Man, that's a red flag right there. If you gotta go ask your
You
pastor
gotta
every
ask.
single thing.
Right. And everything you do, you got to get in front of the church and repent for it. You got to
What?
tell.
How long y'all go to this church?
Oh, so when me and my sister, one time we decided to challenge. Like somebody was like, "You need to read the Bible and learn the word for yourself," right? So we started reading the Bible, and we started challenging the pastor.
In church?
Yeah.
Like during the service?
No, it was like doing our Sunday school. The
Oh,
Sunday school
okay.
teachers, because we had all these questions. Because by now we read the Bible, like, but they said this and this. They're switching things around. So we asked them, the Sunday school teacher, like, "Why don't we bring it?" She said, "Why don't we bring the pastor and y'all can ask." He couldn't even answer the stuff.
What it was?
Girl, I can't remember all the questions we was asking, but he couldn't answer it. So he got mad and went to my parents. Was like, "They doing this and they learning false prophet and they learning." Yeah, I'm like, "No, you are the false person. You weren't telling us." Okay, get this. We can have a TV, but we did. But they didn't want us to have TVs because they didn't want us to learn what was going on in the world. But him and his family had a computer.
Mmm.
Now, what do you think is on the computer?
Right. Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was miserable. So anyway, this how we got out. When me and my sister turned 15 and 16, we got a job. And we told them to put us on the schedule every Sunday so we can go to church.
Fix that problem.
But my parents, they stayed in. Oh gosh, so they got in, and I was probably like maybe 5 or 6, and they got out. I don't know. They was in it for at least 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's a long time.
And now I think now they look back and see, you know, that
That's
this was
definitely
all
cults,
man-made rules.
And were they paying a whole lot of money? Like putting a lot of money into the church?
Yes. Because you know you got to tithe. Like you're not going to live a wealthy life unless you tithe and give money to the church.
Mm-hmm.
So
So they had you thinking like, oh, let me pay so much.
yeah, so I can get the blessing.
Whew, a mess.
It was a hot mess, girl. It was just so much. I'm trying to think what else that they used to do.
I, I hear about some church, like on this podcast I'm referring to.
Mm-hmm.
They this one girl, she was talking about how the pastor would have to tell them like who they could date. Like they would have to, before they could date anybody, they had to go get it approved by the pastor.
Yep.
I wonder if this the same. You might need to listen to this podcast. You're probably gonna hear your story.
I
on there.
do, girl. A lot of people that went to church, like even my sister dated somebody from the church. And when they graduated from high school, because they dated while we was in high school, because that's who we spend our time with, right?
The people
so
at the church.
The people at the church. So most of the time you're gonna date people at the church.
Mm-hmm.
But they ended up getting married and they stopped going to that church, but then they ended up going back to that church. And I was telling my sister, you look so homeless and pitiful.
Not homeless and
pitiful.
pitiful.
Long skirts. Just, you gotta be fully covered. And a lot of people stay there because they like, okay, I met my spouse there. So this is maybe the way of God. But I'm like, you don't have, first of all, you don't have to look like that.
Yeah.
Like, if that's how I would need to look to be saved, I don't want to be saved. Because I like, you see all these earrings I got in my ear, right?
Yeah.
And I used to
You
have
can
them
do
going
that.
up because growing up, I couldn't get my ears pierced.
So really and truly, the way you are now probably is because you couldn't be that way when you were younger.
Yeah.
And it's like something that you just rebelling, and
Right.
now you get to do whatever you want to do.
But I will say, like, you know, you meet with all these people all day, so you meet great people. Like, we're still friends with some of the people we went to church with. But yeah, if I can erase that part of my life. That was horrible.
That kind of sounds like I had a classmate. I went to church with her. She was Pentecostal, and I went to church with her one time. And I grew up in a house where, like, we went to church, but it wasn't like deliberate. Like every single Sunday we had to go. Like my mom was very flexible, and I appreciate that. Like she wasn't like forcing, you know, anything down my throat.
Yeah.
But she definitely taught me about God and, you know, the Bible and stuff. But she really did like give me like the free, more, you know, flex version of religion.
Yeah.
Girl, I had went to church with and at this time she was like becoming my best friend. I went to church with her on Sunday. She was like, yeah, come on, we had fun at church. Girl, we got up in there. First of all, we had to be there at like 8 a.m. And then we couldn't, and I don't know, like we couldn't wear pants.
Yeah.
So we had to wear a skirt or a little dress or something. So we go at 8, you know, we up early, going to church, get down there, church start. I know we was in there for a good 4 hours. And they also don't play, like they don't use instruments.
Yeah.
They sing and they shout, but they don't use instruments at all. And so, you know, we sitting there going through the, you know, church process. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, now we get out with the kids able to run around and play. And, you know, I'm excited to see some of the kids from my school that I know. And, you know, they surprised to see me like, what you doing here? You know.
Yeah.
So then we leave, we go back to mom's house. And we, you know, eat like a little lunch or whatever. And then they say, all right, y'all, it's time to go bed. Girl, I started looking real confused. Cause who's gonna go bed?
Girl, yes.
What? We just spent all morning in there.
Yep.
And it was like 3 o'clock. And we went back.
Yeah, that's how we used to do.
And we was there from like 3 until... Hello. We were there from like 3 until like, let's say 5 at that point. And at that point, I was like, okay, you know, I know we doing it now.
Yeah.
Girl, I think they went back at like 7 or 8 again. So it's like 3 different times that I went to church. At that point, when she saw me was going back again, I said, my mama gotta come get me. I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, y'all do this every single Sunday?
Every single Sunday. We went Sunday school.
Girl.
And then after Sunday school, service started like around 11, and we would stay there till 3. Man, the preacher used to preach at least 2 or 3 hours.
Like, you
And
can't
then-
have that much to say.
Yeah.
Get out of that, get off your pedestal.
Yep. Then we would go eat, and we would come back for nightly service every Sunday.
And I think at one point after the 3 o'clock service, they were like, well, we got, you know, lunch in the back. Or dinner or something in the back. I don't know. We don't.
Yeah.
No. I gotta go home. At this point, Mama, I gotta get ready for school. I ain't never seen it.
I'm gonna have to show you a
me?
picture.
Yeah, you got to show me a picture.
Pictures at church, you're the way we was looking. Oh, we looked so pitiful. I was like, Mama, y'all wrong for this. And like, if you know how to dye my hair. I just dyed it because I'm fully gray up here. If you're gray no matter what color your hair is, you can't dye your hair. Dyeing your hair is a sin. Make it make sense.
What?
So we have women that I thought was born at the church. They were young. They have a hair full of gray hair. They can't dye it.
That's
They
crazy.
can't cut their hair.
You can't even trim it?
The way we was looking, I don't think we trimmed our hair.
What?
I remember I wanted to cut my hair, and I wanted to dye it. And I used to pray. I'm like, okay, they said if you pray, you get it happen. So I would pray that my hair would come out, so I could get the Halle Berry stuff when it first came out.
Oh, now you wanted to go extreme. Now you weren't even trying to get like a little bob cut. You talking about you like
I
a short.
wanted- Oh God. It, I remember I had put some peroxide in my hair and went and sat in the sun, so my hair could change colors.
Oh my goodness, did it change?
Yeah.
What the pastor said, I know he could have.
Oh girl, I don't know about it. I was all right here.
Girl.
I ended up cutting my hair off.
Oh, you was a wild thing.
Yep. I was done with them.
That is a
And
wild.
I remember this lady, one of my school teachers, she went to that church and she passed away. I was older by then. I don't even think my parents were born there anymore. And they had the funeral. And I went to the funeral. And I only had pants. I wasn't even supposed to be in town. So I didn't bring a dress or anything. I only had pants. And I wore pants to the funeral. Now this is her funeral. And I sat
at the church that you grew
at
up
the church, yeah. And I sat in the back. You know, the preacher was doing a eulogy about this lady, and he started preaching about how wearing pants is a sin.
How he see you back there?
Nosy. I don't know.
He probably was watching one of the people
When I
coming
walked
in. He
in,
said, look at her.
Yeah.
I got something to say about her.
Yeah.
She finna hear about this.
That's just crazy. I'm like, I don't think you supposed to be praying about her and her family, and you. I mean, talking about her and her family. You talking
So
about
it's
me
the
and my
same
family.
pastor?
Yeah, but you know, so when I was younger, it was the first pastor at our church. He ended up. Now he wasn't as bad as the second one. I think the second one took it and just ran with it.
Oh yeah, he did too much.
So the first pastor, remember they believe in divine healing. So he had a stroke, and he ended up passing away. And at his funeral, it was all the 8 preachers in those different areas. They all preached. That funeral was 8 hours long.
What?
Yep. So the second pastor.
They let the body sit up there in that church for 8 hours?
Yeah. Uh-huh. And then the second pastor that was there, he ended up passing away, I don't know, a few years ago. He was young too, but remember, they believe in divine healing, so I don't know what happened.
So you can't take Tylenol. You can't take Pepto-Bismol. You can't do none of that.
I don't know what
Never any medicine. So if you got like, so you go to the doctor and they're like, oh, she got a serious infection. She needs antibiotics. You can't take no antibiotics. You gotta wait for it.
For them, yeah, not for me. Now my dad ended up having a heart attack.
Really?
Guess what he did?
Took some medicine.
He went to the doctor. Just went to the doctor.
Girl.
But yeah, but those.
Oh, so you couldn't even go to the doctor.
I don't know if they went to the doctor or not. I just know that they didn't do a lot of medicine. They didn't do medicine.
Yeah. They said, did they believe in birth control?
So now you going deep now. I was younger, so I don't know
Oh,
about
you don't
that.
know
But
about
they
that
all
part.
got a lot of kids, so I don't know if they.
Oh, no, they didn't believe in it. Girl, if each family got more than 3, they ain't believe
Oh
in it.
yeah, it was a lot of kids.
Nah, they ain't believe in no birth control. That is wow. But you know what? If they ain't believe in birth control, that might be why they or I ain't gonna say just birth control, but I'm gonna say contraception.
Right.
Then maybe why they, were like encouraging people to
Keep it in the house with the relationship.
well, not even keep it in the house, but like no medicine, so that
Yeah.
that way people could die off.
Yeah.
That's why, like, I think, health insurance costs so much here because, they don't really care. They like, well, go ahead on and die. We need more room for more people anyway.
Yeah.
That is wild. Yeah, baby, I think he was in the court.
Yeah, and they when my dad got sick, one of the ladies was like, they had called and they were like, this is back when we had a house phone. They was asking how he was doing and all this, and they was like, don't you feel bad? You can't pray for your dad? And I'm like, what do you mean I can't pray for my dad? They was like, well, God don't hear still a prayer. Yes, girl.
Oh, that was so brainwashed.
Mm-hmm.
Not that, well, how old were you then?
19.
Girl, not that.
Yeah.
I would have cursed her every which way.
I wanted to.
You listen here.
Right. Yeah.
What you not gonna do?
It was horrible. I mean, it's just like, it's so much. I'm just sitting trying to think of all of it.
A lot of the times, like on those podcasts, people's story, you know, I always have like sexual abuse from, you know, like leaders in the church.
Yeah.
You know, them like trying to force them into marriages with people that they really don't want to be with.
Yeah, I was talking to this one lady. We was talking about cults, and she was saying that a lot of that was going on in her church. Now, if that was going on with ours, I don't know.
You didn't know that?
Yeah, because it was in a different town, so
Yeah.
a lot of it for me, I was like, I think the church was open every day. But since it was in a different town, I think we may have gone, like I said, that Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But some people was there like every single day.
Girl, I have a client. She was telling me a story of how she goes to a church here, and that's just like sometimes that make me a little weary of going to churches, like, you know, because a lot of these churches give off culty vibes. And so she was telling me a story of how, so she has 3 children. One of them is 18 or 19, the other one is 16, and then she has like a 14 or 15-year-old daughter. The 2 boys are older. So she said they go to the church, and she said one day her middle son, the 16-year-old, was like, "Hey mom, such and such want to take." He said that he wants to take me, you know, after church one day, like maybe we could go get something to eat. And she was like, you know, she said she just brushed it off, like, "Oh, okay, I hear you." And yeah, you know, they just went on. So about 2 weeks later, he came back and said that the man asked, you know, he was a youth leader or a youth pastor.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, you know," he asked, "Could I go with him today to go have dinner at wherever?" And she's like, "He just wants you to come?" And he's like, "Yeah, he just invited me." Now the man is married. He has a wife and 2 children, small children.
Yeah.
But he want to invite this 16-year-old out with him to dinner.
Yeah.
And out of all the kids, like, he wasn't saying that this is gonna be like a youth like event or a youth group. It was just that one child. She said, "No, that's weird to me. Like, no, you're not going. You know, tell him you can't go." And she said, so it just wasn't sitting right in her spirit. So she said, the next Sunday, she walked up to him and told him, you know, "Hey, you know, my children don't go anywhere without one another. They always together. Even here in the church, they're always together."
Right.
She said, "I find it very odd that you picked that my one child to try to go out to eat by himself, but I would like you not to request that anymore because that's not happening." You know, that's what he was telling them. And I said, "Girl, that is so weird." But just imagine the parents who probably are like oblivious and like just thinking, like, we in the church, we saved.
Yeah.
And he would have took, you know, took that child and, girl, I said, this is a crazy world we living in.
It is.
Can't trust nobody.
Nope, at all. And my kids be mad at me. They be like, "Well, Mama, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? Why can't we stay at..." Listen, no. Because one thing about it, a parent that's been through stuff and seen stuff, they are overprotective. And I was like, when you get older and have kids, you'll understand.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand, that's actually a good thing that you don't get it.
Yeah. Because that means you don't have first-hand experience with that.
No, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah, that's why I say, you know, like, the times, like, my mom was very free. But I can say, you know, sometimes when I listen to people's story and, like, hear what they say, I can think like, dang, that could be me in a situation like that. Because there's been plenty of times, you know, it was just me and my friends by ourselves, or, you know, somebody, you know, that I know was older, maybe looking a little weird, and I ain't say nothing, but ain't nobody ever did nothing. But I'm just like, you know, that could have happened to anybody. So I'm thinking now, like, I guess when kids get older and they start having more conversations with their peers and they see what their peers have gone through, then they start to appreciate, like, dang, I'm glad I had an overprotective parent, because you know, y'all had hard lives out here. Y'all really out here fighting.
Even with my daughter and Dan, she's like, you always stay. I am. I'm going to always stay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That is, man.
Yeah, it was definitely tough because I mean, if you're going to tell people that they can't go visit other people's churches and you know all the other churches bad and you know, why can't I visit somebody else? Because you want me to know the truth.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it was. That's exactly it. They knew you was gonna hear something that sparked something in you, and they knew you was. If you read the Bible and came back with a question, they were like, "Oh no!"
Right.
Yeah. And I'm telling them what she gonna come back with. We set her free to explore other religions and other churches.
But like once my parents left, it was like they still very religious. They just don't go to that church anymore. They still go to church, but I mean they just different now. It's better. Like if I have a party, there is no way my parents would have came to a party. But now if I have a party, they'll come. Like I'm like you can't go to your child's party. Like that makes no sense.
But now, secular music to be played or drinks.
Right.
They can't even be around it.
But now I have a party. They come. I didn't really drink in front of them, but if I'm at a party and some of them was like, I was like, how did y'all live like this all them years?
The one I think I'm listening to right now, the most recent episode on there is this woman. She is in a church cult, and she's talking about how she had to ask her husband, like she has to ask her husband everything. So she was saying that she wanted to run a marathon, and she had to ask her husband for permission. And she said she's lucky that she has a nice husband, and he, you know, he's kind, and you know he's not like the other women husband who actually like will beat them because the pastor is encouraging the husbands to beat their wives. Wow. But she said she asked him one time could she, you know, run a marathon, and he told her let him think about it, and she was like, wait a minute, because now that you think about it, what you have to think about? Right.
So that sounds like 40 minutes.
She must have got my keys.
That's Monica.
Oh. She must have got nannies.
Right.
I'm just thinking mine probably 25 minutes, maybe if that.
Yeah. Now if they sleep, I can stay in there. I've been trying to watch the day away.
They up and they coming in and out, and then you hear somebody yelling and screaming. Oh. Just go and get out. Is that right today?
Yeah.
What is group of these? How she doing all them?
But girl, yeah, if I a lot of that stuff it's like blanked out, right? Or not to even think about it.
Yeah.
But look, if I think of some more stuff, I'll let you know. But that was crazy.
Do your parents identify that as a cult now?
Yep.
They're calling it a cult?
Yep. Because we used to always say, this sounds like a cult. You know, you saw like the TV, you be like, oh, cult, that sounds like what we were in. That is not a cult. This is religion, blah, 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 blah. But now that they're out of it, they was like, you're right, it was a cult. Because everything we did, it was basically man-made religion.
And it's meant to control. Like, if you are creating rules and making people specifically pay money and you are trying to brainwash them into thinking a specific way and not allowing them to question and, you know, like believe for themselves, that's a cult. That is a cult.
And as a kid, I never got baptized. I didn't get baptized. I was older because I was never saved enough to be able to get baptized. You got to be super holy, so they say.
Oh, so they got to see you like, your behavior has to align with the super saved.
And what they consider.
That's crazy.
Like even with my dad now, he does a lot of funerals. He's a minister. He does things, but he don't call himself a preacher because what he learned at that place, he's not a preacher. But I'm like, you are.
Mm. I was listening to somebody talk about, you know, like their experiences as a Jehovah's Witness, and I think I've seen this on the documentary too.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I have like some family. I have a family member that's a Jehovah's Witness, and I don't think like I even went there as a child with them, and I didn't think that it was culty. But I do think that, you know, they're just like Baptist churches or Methodist churches, like they all are under Christianity, but they you know, they just have their own like part. And so I say, like, you know, I think that's the same thing with Jehovah's Witnesses. Like they can, like, it could be certain churches or certain like specific churches where the people are, you know, maybe not doing right. They just like this earlier.
I think I've seen this.
Yeah, this is where that woman get HIV.
Oh yeah.
And she on her husband and become strung out on drugs.
Was Lance her husband?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, girl, people come out church. Like me and my kids, we definitely pray.
Do you belong to a church?
No. I would never join one. Now, when I first met my husband, he was at church all the time, and you know, he would always like, "Why don't you go to church?" And I was like, you know, once you been through a church like that, first I feel like I've been to church enough. I ain't gotta go. I was like, but then when you see, I'm churched out. But then when you see like the rules and stuff that come with the church, you know, it's just like too much. So once he started he was like a junior deacon or whatever. He started seeing things in the background and what they do in the background of the church. He's like, okay, I get it. Now I see what you were saying. This is like a business. Like he didn't want no part of that. So we stopped going for a while. But now my son, I don't know where he's looking at. He sends me some video on YouTube, because they went to a Christian school, so they would go to church there every Wednesday. But now he done started looking at these videos, to send me these videos, so he wants us to go to church because he don't want us to be sinners. And I'm like, Lord. But we read the Bible at home, we pray. You know, I ask them what they think this mean, and I'll tell them what I think it mean, and we'll look it up, whatever. So it's not like they know about church, they know about God, whatever. But now, what I told them is, we can go to church at least once a month. So that's what I've been trying to do, go take them once a month.
Is it the same church your husband went to, or is it just another one you found?
We're going to a church up in Powder Springs.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool though. It's definitely different from how I grew up in church.
Girl, the churches are definitely different now because, girl, the pastors are dressed like, they fashion models. They got Jordans on and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going for my kids because one thing I will say, although I hated that place and what they stood for, it allowed me and showed me my relationship with God, right? Because then I started reading the Bible and understanding things myself. So I do have that to fall back on. But yeah, I would never put my kids through what we went through.
I know, listening to this podcast, they had mentioned the story of like Jim Jones one time, and I don't think I was familiar with it at the time. So girl, I went down the rabbit hole of looking it up and found a whole like 2-hour documentary on YouTube.
Yeah.
Girl, I'm getting to the end. Why I'm crying?
You know, I never looked that up. I heard about it, but I never even
Oh,
looked
it is so sad. It is so freaking sad.
Wow.
Like, just sick.
Yeah.
Like, people are really sick. People need help.
Yeah.
Because how can you sit here and create something like this?
Did you watch on Netflix the movie? Is it Dancing for the Devil?
Mm-mm.
You didn't watch that?
Mm-mm.
So it's about these TikTok dancers. And it's so crazy because I'm like, I see these people on TikTok and I always had questions like, where they get these houses from? And they're dancers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically in a cult. And I don't want to tell you because I want you to watch it, but you gotta watch it.
It's dancers that are TikTok dancers.
Yeah, they're in a cult. And the leader is like funding all this stuff, like the houses that they dance at and different things like that. But the difference in with them, they keep them from their family.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna check this out.
It's only like 3 episodes,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch
and it's
this.
like you see so many similarities, like when you was talking about sexual assault, like all that. You gotta watch it.
Is it still happening?
Yes.
Like it's currently?
Yes, and one lady was in it like 20 years ago, so it's been going on for a long time.
Wait, what you mean 20 years ago? TikTok went around 20 years ago?
No, that's a different part. That's what I'm saying. The cult.
Oh, the cult
Yeah, the
itself.
dancing part is new.
Oh,
You have
okay.
to watch it. They explain how the dancing came in part of
Girl,
it.
don't get me started now on something new, man. Lord.
It's only 3 episodes.
That hour long?
I think.
Ooh. I could probably watch it and help maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, you gotta watch
I got a client in the morning.
it. And when you watch, you can be like, oh, I recognize that person.
Really?
Mhm.
It's like that. Famous with Brownell.
Well, they TikTok, social media famous.
A mess.
I look like Kim K. Is that right?
Yes. You know, she hasn't been activated for a while now.
Make sure you subscribe to my channel.
It's really good.